Hello and welcome. I'm Luna
And I'm Nick.
and we are the Nomad Citello. And every month we bring you the news from Venice to help you plan your trip to Venice, Italy. So we are live from Venice. So we can answer all of your questions. So if you have any, just put them in the chat. Comment on the video if you're watching it later. And we will be here to answer all of your questions at best as we can. So let's jump into it and let's see what's on the menu for today. So we are talking about visiting Venice in December. And specifically, we will talk about some of the apps that you can use in Venice and some of the apps that won't work in Venice. Then, of course, we have to talk about Christmas and New Year celebrations, other events and things to do in Venice, and then we will answer some of your questions. So let's see. So, talking about apps. So, there are apps that you can use and that you are used to using everywhere in the world, and maybe they work or don't work in Italy and in Venice in particular. So, let's see. First of all, talking about transportation. Uber is working in Venice. This is big news because it's very recent. It hasn't worked for the longest time. So this is good news. For transportation, you can call a taxi from Mestre and the surrounding areas into Venice, or vice versa. You can ask for a ride to the airport. You can also ask for a boat. That was an option when I looked through the app. So let us know if that's something you try and it actually works.
Yeah, we still haven't tried that.
We
I
haven't,
don't,
no.
I usually don't need a boat from here to
Exactly.
there, but I guess it's something we should try just to, to see how it
Yeah,
works.
exactly. And then, in addition to the typical Maps app like Google Maps, Apple Maps, which work in Venice, you can also download the Che Bateo app, which the name Che Bateo means which boat in Venetian. In fact, the first language you can choose in the app is Venetian. And it's a very useful app because it's only focused on the boats, the water buses in Venice. And it's very precise. It can give you precise itineraries of all the routes for the Vaporetto, the water bus. And so you can really make a good use of that in Venice, of course, with all the timetables, the schedules, the forecast for high tide, the acqua alta, the flooding. So all the things you need to navigate literally the water bus system in Venice. And then if you're looking for a train to visit maybe nearby towns, I suggest you use Trainline, which is an app that includes all the train companies in Europe. So, for example, if you're looking for a short visit to Switzerland, to Austria, but also around Italy with the different train companies, you can find them all inside the train line. And then maybe if it's more convenient, you can go to the specific train company to buy the tickets, or you can buy the tickets on train line directly. So it's very convenient.
Now, before you move on, you mentioned Google Maps,
Yeah,
Apple Maps, and in the past, in years past, we would have said that those don't work so well.
yeah,
In fact, I think in some of our older videos, we might have mentioned that they don't work so well. The reason is there are very, very narrow streets, very narrow walkways surrounded by tall buildings, and sometimes the satellite connection wasn't so great.
yeah,
But I do think that's changed, and
yeah.
those are working quite a bit better now than they have in
Yeah,
years
and
past.
since you mention it, I've also tried the live augmented reality feature on Google Maps, where you use your phone and you see the directions in your camera, and it works even at night. So
And you should expect, as we've said in other videos, you should expect to be walking a lot in Venice, and it's very easy to get lost. It can be very fun to get lost, but for those times when you just need directions, the walking directions in Apple Maps and Google Maps on your phone will take you where you need to go.
yeah,
Now, the thing I'm not sure of, does that depend on improved technology in a newer phone? Would somebody with an older phone with not as strong a connection to the satellite have problems? That I'm not sure of.
Sure, it's also true that I have a 5-year-old phone
Okay.
and those still
Yeah.
work really
Yeah.
well. So, yeah, I'm quite optimistic about the map systems. What won't work in terms of transportation is Lyft. Surprisingly, Uber made it to Venice, but Lyft didn't. And Free Now, which is the European company that has been bought by Lyft, also won't work in Venice and surrounding areas. Sorry about that. Might work around Italy, not sure, but around Venice, it doesn't. Okay, talking about food delivery options. Now, surprisingly, Uber has arrived but is phasing out Uber Eats. It used to work, but not anymore. It's not available in Venice and surrounding areas. DoorDash also is not available in Italy. It doesn't exist, but we have a few alternatives. So here, the first four you see on the work section, Deliveroo, Glovo, Foodracers, Just Eat, they are all food delivery services which work exactly like DoorDash or Uber Eats. And different restaurants have different services and might have multiple of these services for pickup, for takeout. So absolutely like everywhere around the world. Um, it's customary to tip the riders when they deliver food, even if we don't have a tipping culture in Italy, but it's a good custom to still tip the riders that deliver your food, especially if you are in Venice proper, where they have to walk around. There is no other means of transport that they can use to deliver your food. So it's nice to leave a tip. No.
So I guess
Yeah,
we should recognize, like Uber Eats in other places in the world, the company probably does not pay that delivery person very well.
yeah,
And so that's probably where the tip comes in. You,
exactly.
you should do what you can to help those people delivering your food. And I do think it's interesting you mentioned maybe you're going to talk more, but in Venice, of course, there are no cars, there are no bicycles. So these people are walking, and
Mhm.
I've seen that Glovo backpack quite a bit, just a big cube backpack that they'll
Yeah,
carry food in. So it does operate here, but it is a person walking carrying a backpack.
yeah, exactly. Now, I added to the list Cocai Express. Cocai is the Venetian word for seagull. Cocai Express is a local startup. So just like Bateo for transportation, Cocai Express is also a local startup. I have to say the app on my phone isn't working, so I don't know if that's still active on some operating systems, but there is a web app that works perfectly well. And it's not only food delivery, pickup, takeout, but also reservations in some of the restaurants around Venice. So if you want to book a table, you can check Cocai Express and support local startups. And then I recommend you try out Too Good To Go, which is an international app that works in many countries around the world. And basically, the mission is to avoid food waste. So the participating restaurants and bars and coffee shops uh, put on the app some surprise bags, they're called. So whatever is left over from the day that wouldn't be sold is sold on the app for a very discounted price. Usually is 1/3 of the regular price. So you just open the app, see what's available, the pickup time window, and you just buy it and then show the receipt at the restaurant or the coffee shop and get your surprise bag. Now, the reason I'm recommending this because it's a very convenient way to have cheap meals. Sometimes there's pizzeria with which have slices of pizza left over from the day, grocery stores that have bags of food that they haven't sold during the day, like lots of bakeries, cafes. So it's a very convenient way to have an alternative meal, although of course there is no choice, no dietary restriction or anything like that that you can demand from these shops, because it's just whatever is left over from the day. Okay, what else? Payments. Venmo and Zelle, I think it's
I think in America they say Zelle, and I've
Zelle.
always said Zelle because that's how
Okay,
it would be pronounced in Italy.
exactly. Anyway, these don't work in most of countries outside of the
Well,
US, I would say.
I mean, Zelle is connected to your bank account,
Right.
so in as much as you would take a payment through your bank account, it's not used in shops around here, but
Exactly.
I don't think it would be anyway.
Exactly. But what can you use to pay electronically? PayPal is used, and you can sometimes use it to pay in shops as well. Apple Pay, Google Pay, they generally work pretty much everywhere, as well as, of course, traditional credit cards and debit cards. Even American Express is more widely accepted. It wasn't the case until a few years ago. But these are generally the electronic payment methods that we use.
And I guess to clarify, Google Pay or yeah, Google Pay and Apple Pay are working with the tap to pay system,
Yeah.
which until very recently was not used very much in America.
Hmm.
You'd have to swipe the card. But now I think people are generally are using it in America where you tap your card on a device to pay. It's actually the same technology that Apple Pay and Google Pay are working. So it's not that Apple Pay is improved or working better in any way. It's just that tap mechanism is everywhere here in
Yeah.
Italy and is becoming more common in
Yeah.
America.
Now, side note on that, sometimes because of how the city is built, restaurants will have not a very good signal for the payment. So you might be asked to go to the checkout, to the front of the shop to pay. That's totally normal. Even tap to pay, regular credit card, it's just that they need to get good signal for the machine to work. That's
Well, again, to contextualize for Americans, because in America, we're used to putting our card on the table, somebody takes the card and walks
yeah.
away. Here in Italy, I don't think that ever happens. I've never seen that
Mm,
happen. Every restaurant, they have a handheld device. They come to the table, you tap your card on that device. And what
yeah.
Luna's saying is if they say, "Oh, the device doesn't have signal, come to the front," that's perfectly normal.
Yeah.
And still, you're not giving anybody your card. You're just walking up
Mm,
there where they have signal, tapping your card.
yeah. It's very weird to relinquish your card to a stranger. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Now, eSIMs. For using internet data on your mobile, traditionally you would buy a physical SIM card, and you can still do that. There's a shop at the airport when you arrive. There are several shops around town that will advertise SIMs for tourists. But if your phone is more recent and doesn't even have maybe a physical SIM card but only eSIMs, we recommend checking out these services. In no particular order, we are not advertising any of them specifically, but they are very convenient, like Airalo, La Fly. Uh, um, I'm thinking of what the actual name of the third one is. I can't quite
Oh.
remember. I forgot. Roamless is the fourth one. But anyway, it's a system where they sell you through their app an eSIM that you activate when you arrive here or even before you arrive here, and they have very convenient plans for your stay. If you're staying a few days, if you're staying a week or longer, they have very convenient prices, and they work pretty well because I've tried Airalo, and I've had friends trying Olafly and Roamless at least, and they say they are working very well because they connect uh, to the local systems.
But
So
there is a possible problem with this. And this happened to our friend Marge, who went to Spain very recently. If you bought your phone, I don't know if this is just America, maybe other places. If you got your phone from your cellular phone provider and you got the phone for free or a discounted price because you're paying them a monthly fee, it is likely that your phone is locked and only works on the cell phone provider, your main cell phone provider from home, and may not work with an eSIM. And that can be very frustrating. If you bought your phone completely outright, then it's likely not locked. If you got it through a subsidy through your cell phone provider, it likely is locked. If you're not sure, I think most of these, if not all of these eSIM services, will sell you an eSIM for one day that'll cost like $2 or $3.
Mhm,
And so I would buy the least expensive eSIM, try to install it, see if it works, and if it tells you that your phone is locked, then you've only wasted $2. But then
that's
you
a
do
good
have to
point.
find some other solution, and
Yeah,
that could be a problem, but at least you'll know before you spend more money on a 1 month
absolutely.
or 2 month eSIM.
And to be fair, I think it's still the case. Those shops that advertise Sims for tourists should be able to sell you eSIMs as well.
Hmm.
Only that they are probably a little less convenient than the apps because they have a physical shop. They have to pay rent, and so they have to justify the costs. Okay, communication. So if you have to communicate with your Airbnb host, if you have to send messages for activities, experiences, anything, everybody will use WhatsApp, 100%. Apps like Telegram and Snapchat exist and they are very common, but the general communication goes always through WhatsApp. Now, WeChat, which is the app that is mainstream in Asia, in China in particular, does exist. You can download it, but it's not as common and it's not as functional as in China, for example. You cannot make payments, you cannot exchange money or book a taxi or anything like that. It's just a message app, and it's not nearly as common as WhatsApp.
So in general, you're talking about what people tend to use,
Yeah,
not as much what does and doesn't work. I mean,
yeah,
normal text messaging works. Of
yeah,
course, email,
mhm,
normal phone calls work. Right here, we're talking more about what do people actually use,
yeah,
and it is very true. Everybody in Italy uses WhatsApp, and
mm,
and I think across Europe,
yeah,
most places outside of the US, WhatsApp is very common.
yeah, absolutely. All right, let's talk about Christmas and New Year celebrations. The Christmas lights are already up. They are not switched on, unfortunately, but they are up. And we are in the middle of November, so we're very early on with our decorations. There will be skating rinks in San Polo, in the Campo San Polo in Venice. There will be in the main square in Mestre, main square in Marghera. So if you're walking around and spot an ice rink, go and have some fun, even with children. Children love these ice rinks around Venice. There will be Christmas markets, again, Venice, Mestre, and Marghera. They are already setting them up, at least in Mestre, so it's coming. It's very near to the official opening. There will be, as you can see in the picture, a giant Christmas tree set up in Piazza San Marco, in the St. Mark Square in Venice. And there will also be Murano glass chandeliers in Piazza San Marco, which will be beautiful. The Ponte di Rialto will be fully decorated. It will be a magic atmosphere, as you can imagine. There will be concerts throughout the second half of December in Piazza San Marco, choirs singing, also in the Rialto area. So just walk around and breathe this magic atmosphere of Christmas and New Year. When it comes to New Year's Eve, there will be a concert in Mestre in the main square, which will actually, I think, be televised as well. So it will be a pop rock concert taking people through the New Year celebrations and celebrating midnight all together in the square. And there will be fireworks in the St. Mark Basin in Venice. So, according to the official instructions, let's say, so the okay, let me zoom out here. So you see, this is Venice, and we are here near Piazza San Marco. So the fireworks display will be in this area. And actually, they say the best areas to see it will be towards this, where you see the Arsenale, so a little farther away from the actual basin. And probably even the Giudecca Island, the Santa Maria della Salute, the Dogana area. So everywhere around the St. Mark's Basin. There will be huge crowds, of course, I expect that. And also, if you are planning on being here around Christmas itself, Christmas Eve, uh, keep in mind that restaurants might be fully booked. So plan accordingly and maybe make reservations in advance. Usually at Christmas, at New Year's Eve, there's a fixed menu at restaurants that is quite more expensive than usual, but it's several courses. And you have to make reservations well in advance. I would start investigating right now if I were you. Hey, any questions about
Sounds
that?
good to me.
All right. Now, other events that might be interesting to check out, the Edward Munch exhibition at the Centro Culturale Candiani, downtown Mestre, is free, has a free admission with online registration. So you will find the link in the description. You can just register and get a time slot to go visit this very interesting exhibition that will be on from October the 30th to March 1st, 2026. And then I would like to recommend you check out the City Escape game. It's also a nice Christmas present idea if you have friends or relatives that are going to visit Venice, because the Garibaldi escape games are all around Italy. They are also available in English, and what it is a game that uses cellular data. So make sure that you are equipped and ready for that. And they send you clues and messages through the web app, and you will find the clues around Venice. You will probably have to enter some shops and ask for some of the clues. They might not know what you're talking about, like it happened to me, but then somebody in the shop will be aware of the game, and you will find interesting information about the city, about the sightseeing spots, and also play a fun game with a fun underlying story about the city. Now, I will say it's not perfect. When we did it, there were some clues that weren't very clear. You can ask for more hints. There were some places that were under renovation, so we couldn't physically see the answer to the clues. So it has some hiccups, but it's still very fun to experience if you have the chance. Okay.
And well, I guess we're already at Q&A. I was going to mention if you are watching this live, you can put questions into the chat during this live session and we can answer them. I don't see any live
Questions?
questions, but
Yes.
I think you've got a few prepared questions.
I do, I do. I wanted to signal some issues with Tappy, the validating machine, and with the ticket vending machines that I
Let,
heard or experienced.
let's be clear,
Yeah.
validating meaning you buy a ticket for the bus or the tram or the Vaporetto, you have to tap that ticket on a machine when you get onto the bus or whatever. They call that validating the ticket.
Yes, exactly. and the machine is called Tappy. It's its name. And you can find a video about Tappy in our on our channel. Now, I've heard some horror stories about the tap to pay system. Now, just to give you a summary of what it is, you have the possibility to use your device or your card to tap directly on Tappy without buying a ticket in advance. And if you are traveling by bus or tram, you are supposed to tap in and tap out when you are about to get off. You have to tap one more time so it stops the ticket, let's say. Now, I've heard from more than one person that the tapping out doesn't always work. And I've experienced it myself, where the card is not accepted officially. So it is a little bit nerve-wracking because I don't know what's happening. Is the ticket still going with the time? I'm pretty sure it's not, and I'm pretty sure you will be charged only for that one ticket if you're on the bus or tram, but I'm not 100% sure, and you will not be either because you are going to be charged in a couple of days from the tap. Now, the bus company is not helping in this case because people have gone to the actual ticket office and they say we are not responsible for the tapping machines. The drivers don't know how they work because they haven't been trained on that. So my advice is don't tap in and tap out, buy a ticket. So that's the safest way. Now, speaking of buying a ticket, I don't know if you've seen my latest short video on our channel, but if you are buying bus or tram tickets in especially in downtown Mestre, but everywhere uh, you see the vending machines, you might be given the option to buy one ride or 10 rides for a discounted price. Now, those 10 rides can only be used by one person at the time. So if you are in a group and you want to use those 10 rides for multiple people in a group, you can't. Every person has to have their own separate ticket. So if you are traveling with a group and that's your idea, buy the single rides, as many as you need, and you will be given separate tickets for each ride.
Can I clarify a few things that you said?
Yes, please.
So, your recommendation ultimately, the best case scenario is to buy a ticket
Yeah.
for the bus, the tram, the Vaporetto. Just go to the window or to the machine and buy a ticket.
Mhm.
So, you said you were talking about the credit card when you said don't tap in, tap out. If you buy a physical ticket, it will be a card. You do have
Yes,
to tap that ticket. You
yes.
do still have to tap it to validate the ticket. You do not have to tap it when you get off the Vaporetto or off of the bus.
Mhm.
And I would say if you don't have the ticket, if it's some emergency situation, you couldn't get a ticket, then yes, you can use your credit card. You can tap your
Or your
credit card.
phone or your watch.
Yeah, your Apple Pay, your Google Pay, like we mentioned before. But then if you use your credit card or your Apple Pay or your Google Pay, you have to tap again when you get off.
Of the
If
bus and the tram, not the water bus.
if you don't tap out, and let's make sure I'm saying this right, if you don't tap out, you will be charged for the most expensive ride that that bus can do that day.
Yes.
So if you don't tap out, it's not disaster. You'll just be paying for the more expensive ride.
Mhm.
I think
Yes.
I've got that covered.
Yes, exactly. And uh, I mean, if it's the airport bus, it's gonna be 10 euros. I think that's the most you can pay regardless of destination. So worst case scenario, you will be charged 10 euros. Just don't do like some people I've heard doing, trying to get on different buses and tapping again and again to try and tap out from the first ride, because in that case it's starting a new ticket over and over again, and so you will be charged multiple times.
And anybody could walk onto the bus or the vaporetto and just sit down, and the bus driver, I don't think I've ever seen the bus driver stop anybody.
No,
What happens is once the vehicle is moving,
yeah.
there will be people on the bus or the tram who will demand to check everybody's ticket. They will check every single person on the bus to check and see if their ticket has been validated. And if you're there, and even if you bought the ticket but you didn't validate it, you are still in trouble.
Mm,
They will issue fines.
mhm,
I don't know what else. I
yeah.
might remove you from the vehicle.
Yeah, possibly, yeah. And just like in restaurants, they have a handheld device that can read, even if you've paid with your phone or your credit card, you can tap on their machine and they are able to read your tap. So
So if you buy a ticket but you forget to tap it when you get on the bus, you could be in trouble.
yeah, exactly. Now, on the news, right now, as we're speaking, the city museums are on strike. They are negotiating for the workers' contracts. So, what that means for you is that you will find longer lines, possibly. Some museums might not be open when they're supposed to be open. So, be patient and understand what's going on. There might be some disruptions when you're visiting the museums.
Are you able to share some resource in the comments of this video to let people know how do they know if the strike has ended? Or is
Good
there even a
question.
resource for that?
Don't think there is.
So if there's no way to know and you're traveling here in December, you could try and pick up a newspaper if you read Italian. Otherwise, you may go to a museum and
And
it could
and
be.
really, the thing is that the goal is to be as disruptive as possible to have a upper end in the negotiations. So we don't even know. Like the newspapers might be saying that yes, the strike is ongoing, but there are no details. Like we literally discover that the day of when we go to the museum and surprise, it's closed.
Yeah.
So yeah. Or there could be other kinds of disruptions like the wardrobe as attendants might not be working because of the strike. And if you have a backpack that cannot go into the museum, you will not be admitted because you have a backpack that you cannot leave at the wardrobe. So that's really a bummer if that happens. All right. Well, this is all I've got. I don't know if we have any questions in the.
No live questions at the moment, but again, you can always post questions even if you're watching this video later after it was
Absolutely.
live, and we'll see those comments and can do our best to address them then.
Absolutely. So enjoy Venice in December and buon viaggio.